let me introduce myself, and then I have a little presentation I'll share with you here. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, just hearing the knowledge base that you guys have shared so far and your aspirations, I almost feel intimidated already, because it's like, oh my gosh, there's some high level smart people here. Not quite at that level, I feel like, but either way, my name is Davis Flaten. As I mentioned to a couple of you, I actually graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering from UC Davis a number of years ago. I also have an MBA from John F. Kennedy University, but I've worked in the natural gas utility industry my entire career. About 18 years I worked up in Northern California for PG&E, and then I moved over to Southwest Gas, working in the Las Vegas area. Living there is much different than going over there to gamble, just kind of put that out there. And then had the opportunity to work up in Carson City, Nevada. And the little, I know you guys all know this, but it occasionally appears as one of the questions on Jeopardy, that what is the capital of Nevada? And that is Carson City, one of the fewest ones. But you know, worked up there for about 18 years, and then had a chance to come down here to Victorville. And so I've been here close to 2 years now. First time in my life I've ever lived in Southern California. I actually live in the LA basin and then drive over here every day. But I'm just so glad to be down here. And one of the big things that I get the opportunity to do, I did a lot of it up in when I was in Carson City, and then down here is really reach out and interact with the universities in the area. On the one hand, I'll be honest, it's very self-serving, always looking for new engineers to come join our company. And so that's a lot of it. But at the same time, it's opened up some opportunities for me to, in a certain sense, I was the chairman of the ASME up in Northern Nevada for a number of years. And with that, I became one of the advisory members of the mechanical engineering department up at UNR, and worked with that, with the university there for probably 8 years or so before I finally left. So just trying to get more inroads into the universities around here too. So I really do appreciate the opportunity to come and talk with you guys. Hopefully I don't bore you to death. If you guys have questions, you know, feel free to shoot them out. And Alexis, thanks again for putting in the plug here for me. I appreciate it. And we'll go from there. So do I have control now so I can put my stuff up?
You do, yeah. You should be co-host.
Okay, cool. Okay, I think you can all see that there.
I don't think
Not
so.
Oh,
Not yet.
not yet. Oh. Let's see if there's something else I have to hit on here. I can't remember on Zoom.
I think you hit the
Share screen.
like the green share screen button.
You bottom center.
Oh, there we go. All right, I see here now. Excuse me.
You can choose your different windows or tabs or whatnot.
Got it there. Are we on now?
I think you usually have to select like a document or something as the second step, and then you have to make sure you select OK. I've made that mistake so much
Okay.
where I don't actually do the last
Oops.
step.
All right. Yeah, okay. All right.
Let me make you full on host just in case that's the what it takes.
I guess I need to usually, I'll make sure I get on the more Zooms with my son and try to share stuff here.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. If you finally see what I'm after here, let me know.
Are you using WebEx primarily?
Actually, we're using Teams more than anything.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this is embarrassing not being able to get this going here for you.
You're
Oh, don't worry
fine.
about it.
Again, this
We're not
is
worried about it. Take your time.
Oh, Southwest Gas use Microsoft Teams to communicate?
What it sounds like, yeah.
Yeah, mainly Teams.
it's working.
All right, I
We
saw
can see
I
it.
finally
Awesome.
got back to where it's supposed to be. So I guess you guys can make this large on your screen to be able to see any of the graphics and everything like that. So
You want to hit that little podium looking button at the bottom right near the scale. To the left a little bit.
oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, excuse me, there I am. There, thank you. Yeah. Well, once again, my name is Davis Flaten. I'm with Southwest Gas. I'm actually the manager of engineering over here in our Victorville office. And I have the opportunity to oversee all the engineering for our area, which is basically all the high desert area, Victorville, Barstow, Hinckley, Daggett, all these, really hot names that you guys really like to hear, I'm sure. But we also have the opportunity to serve up in the Big Bear area, so all around the lake up there. You'll probably become more and more familiar with the high desert if you aren't familiar with it already, is because one of the things going on is that there is a company that is getting ready to build the high speed rail from Victorville to Las Vegas. And it's kind of the first step in a three-step process. And I have no ties to that organization, so I'm not trying to bring it in there. But first step is from Victorville to Vegas, and then the next one from really basically Ontario Airport up to Victorville. So people will be able to head up this way on a regular basis. Just want to tell you a little bit more about Southwest Gas. Well, this is kind of what I'm going to talk with you a little about today. Tell you a little about Southwest Gas Corporation, what it is we do, how we serve the community, tell you a little about the day in life of an engineer here, and then just to toss out some things about being an engineer in industry, whether that's here or any place you go. And probably some of those could even be applicable if, as many of you, it sounds like you are, decide you want to continue on with your master's, and I assume maybe moving into the academia in the future. But
I think you may be frozen, Davis. I'm not getting anything on send.
Yeah, he froze for me too.
Yeah.
Oh,
a little over
it's coming out.
employees, serve a little over 2.1 million customers, and have over 200 degreed engineers. And like it says, many career opportunities. I always like to mention this to people because, so many of you are probably looking to start your first job someplace. And I always just like to really encourage you that, when you're doing that, sometimes that first job looks fantastic, but you find out pretty quickly there really aren't any other jobs at the company. And so think about what the company is and the opportunities they might have. And I say that when I'm talking about our Southwest Gas as a whole, because there's many people in the company who started out as a brand new engineer right out of college, and opportunities go all the way up to, at least with us, we have our senior vice president, like I think he's probably the number 3 person in the entire company is a degreed professional engineer. And he has 5 people working for him. Literally the vice presidents in each one of these different areas here, Northern Nevada, Southern California, Central Arizona, and Southern Arizona. And of those areas, 4 of those are headed by degreed engineers also. So almost like the sky's the limit for a lot of these things here. What do we do at Southwest Gas? You know, I'm going to put a couple of graphics up here that probably seem very simplistic, very simple. But it's more just to kind of give you a general idea. As a company, we literally distribute natural gas. We're trying to get gas to people like yourself or myself. And what we do is we literally buy gas from sources around the Western United States and then transport that over other people's pipelines to get to our areas here. Just to put a little different graphic on it. Very simple graphic here, but it really is intended to give the whole, I guess you could call it, life cycle of natural gas. Everything from in the top left-hand corner where people have drilled wells to explore for natural gas. It goes through a little scrubbing cleanup process as it is entered into a pipeline. Along some of these pipelines, which are long distance type of pipelines, large diameter, carry a lot of volume in it. You know, as you guys probably remember from any type of fluids class, you're going to lose some pressure along the way from various sources. So we have to add a few compressors along the way just to kind of keep boosting it on its way. I know down in Southern California, everyone is probably, especially from where I've heard you guys are right now in your education, you're probably very familiar or have heard of underground gas storage fields based, you know, probably because of the accident that happened a few years ago in the, is it Alicio Canyon? I believe that's how it's pronounced. Sometimes companies store gas back underground again and then bring it back out when they're ready to use it. But that gas ends up in a pipeline, typically a transmission pipeline, large diameter, carries gas over a long distance before it actually comes into the city, where we have these things called regulator stations that reduce the pressure of that gas before it gets goes into another pipeline that you can probably picture it like every street in your town has a natural gas pipeline underneath it. And those pipelines operate anywhere from, in some cases, it's inches of water column to up to maybe 50, 60 pounds per square inch. And those pipelines in the street literally take the gas from those sources and literally deliver it to your house or your business, where there'd be another meter as well as another regulator to reduce the pressure to what's going to be usable for the house, as well as, you know, basically somehow we have to be able to measure how much gas you use so we'll know how much to bill you. So there's a meter there that kind of ties it all together. So that's kind of the general quick overview of things here, but I wanted to add one other thing in here that, you know, it sounds like from what I've heard just a little bit, we talked beforehand that, you know, many of us, myself included, have lived a lot of our life here in California. And one of the things that is definitely in the news in California is the whole green energy, electrification type of things, reducing greenhouse emissions. And natural gas, of course, is considered a carbon fuel. And so there's definitely a push throughout California and in some places of the United States to reduce those fuels like natural gas. One of the things that Southwest Gas, as well as others, are doing to help reduce our carbon footprint, if you want to put it that way, is branching out into what we call renewable natural gas. And renewable natural gas is things that basically natural gas that comes from organic waste. Things like landfills, cow manure farms, if you want to put it that way, food waste. We're in the process right now of designing our first renewable natural gas connect here in Victorville, where we will be getting RNG from a wastewater treatment plant. And the nice thing, like it says here, is that renewable natural gas is carbon neutral. And some people even put it as, carbon negative, because it takes more, basically it's going to be better for the environment, put it simply there. So we're working on a plant like this right now that we'll be purchasing gas probably sometime next year and then delivering it into our gas system. But just to kind of talk a little about how we serve the community, we literally provide safe and natural gas and reliable natural gas to all of our customers. And we're going to provide all the natural gas that customers need to meet whatever their demand is. And typically, the highest demand for us is usually in the winter when it gets coldest. I know that people could probably call cold in Southern California one of those oxymorons, because I don't know, it doesn't really get that cold here. And I don't mean to take that away, but I lived for 18 years in Carson City, and definitely got down to 20s, 30s for most of the winter. It warmed up during the day, but it was still definitely jacket type weather. But the winter months are definitely the time for the gas usage. But natural gas also fuels a lot of business growth. You're going to see, we're encountering some of that stuff right now, where up in the high desert, there's a lot of growth going on. And a lot of that's being fueled by natural gas demand. Some of those things that you don't normally think of. This is California, and it is legal for all of the, I guess we affectionately call them grow houses down here, but the marijuana growth industry is a big growth industry. And in many cases up here, we're serving these grow houses with natural gas so that they can literally generate electricity to feed their plants. So things like that. As we're showing here, these are all the normal type of things that happen. We reach out and serve a lot of new subdivisions that are being built, new businesses being built, install a lot of pipelines. But then I put this one other thing over here because we'll talk a little about it later on, but natural gas utilities are very heavily regulated by state and the federal sources. And so everything we do, from how we design our pipelines to how we maintain those things or any facilities, we are constantly being reviewed by people from the various Public Utilities Commission or the federal government, just to make sure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. One of the other things that I always like to share here is that how does Southwest Gas give back to the community or really serve the communities? And part of that is literally through our volunteer initiatives, Building Lives Up Everywhere, or our Blue organization, where we present or give opportunities for employees to give to different organizations. We also provide opportunities, like in these pictures here, for employees to do volunteer work for the agencies. In some cases, it's like in the bottom left here, of helping clean up the desert and just make it the type of place you and I would really expect or want it to be. In other cases, it's giving out food, filling up food boxes for food giveaway type things. We also create opportunities just to help provide assistance for those people who are in need. So our Blue organization is really a big part of the company, and people really like and want to give back, and it just provides a nice opportunity for that. I just wanted to share a little bit about what's it like to be an engineer at Southwest Gas. Might be different than other places, but on any given day, our engineers could get involved in any one of these different items here, from design type work, operations, compliance, or unfortunately emergencies that do occur. And engineers at Southwest Gas, it's absolutely a balance between the amount of time that they're going to be sitting in an office working to the amount of time they're going to be out in the field checking on projects, or it's an installation of a pipeline, or in the center here where we have a gas meter at a plant, and we're trying to set up some of the connections so that we can sit in the office and literally reach out to that meter, find out how much gas is flowing through it, what the pressure is, if the customer is still turned on, just some automation type of items that the engineer could get involved with. I like to kind of share a little bit about some of the things here. So as a company, as I shared that first graphic with you about where natural gas comes from, how we get it here, there's two main types of pipelines that we install right now. And one of them is we install a number of steel pipelines. Steel pipelines are typically a little bigger, larger in diameter. They can operate at higher pressures and definitely take much longer to install, as well as typically much longer to get permits for, as well as easements or approval to install those things. We, right now, for example, you guys, I don't know if you've heard of one of the air bases in town here, or up in the high desert, Fort Irwin. They're a big training facility. You probably see it as you're heading out on I-15 from Victorville or your area there up to Las Vegas. Large training area that wants to have natural gas. And so we're in the process of trying to design a pipeline that'll stretch out over about 23 miles through the desert. And just dealing with all the environmental situations, information that has to be done to get the permitting is a big challenge. But a lot of our day-to-day type work also involves more the installation of, I think we all refer to it affectionately as just plastic pipe, but it's technically polyethylene pipe. It's a very durable, long-lasting type of material that can be installed very easily, either by digging a trench and putting that pipe in, or in some cases, like in here, it's more kind of doing kind of a boring type of operation, pushing it through the ground. And the polyethylene pipe is probably installed on just about every street that you're around. The design work on that, to be honest with you, is probably some of the simple type of design. Moving over just to the right here, we always have to install these various regulator stations. And literally all it does is take the gas from high pressure to a lower pressure so it's more usable and can be injected into these polyethylene pipes. And so our engineers on any given day could be out designing some of these facilities. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, when I looked up the Society of Automation, hopefully I get the name right here, I don't totally understand all the stuff you do, but I think some of the things that the society does kind of tie into, at least from what I would see, of how we would operate and maintain some of these regulator stations. So typically, we'll have this regulator station here, and at various times, we would have controls on here so that the pressures and flows through that regulator station are monitored in a central office. I think our office is actually, that would be controlling that is in Las Vegas. But they would actually monitor the pressures on here to make sure that we're actually delivering the right pressure or delivering the right amount of gas. And they would typically have some ability to control those pressures from that office in Las Vegas. We, of course, could go out in the field and do the same thing, but those are some of the applications I could see that kind of tie into the group here. And not just at regulator stations like this, but those same type of controls also come into the large meter sets like this one down the bottom left-hand corner. And here it gets, I'll be honest, this is where it gets a little more complicated just because of how gas systems operate nowadays. So this is a large customer. We've tried to place the meter set in an inconspicuous place. I think this is on the back of their business so that it doesn't distract from anything. But many of these customers have the ability to actually go out and buy gas themselves. And then we would transport that gas on our pipelines, and they would pay almost, I like to equate it to like a toll road. They would pay a small fee for us to transport that gas to their site here. But it gets a little complicated from the standpoint that they have to buy the right amount of gas for whatever they think their operations are going to need for that given time frame. And then on a daily basis, they have to balance the amount of gas they use with how much they actually received at some location 40, 50 miles away. And so the way that is done is through all those controls that just, automated meter reading here that will relay the information to our office in Las Vegas so they can put the usage together with what was received into the system. And the two need to match within a certain level, or else the company could be penalized, either have to pay more or could be given something back. So just kind of an interesting way that things operate here. Let's see. Once again, just I think in the bottom right-hand corner was just demonstrating, showing a little more about how we do have to provide a lot of high-pressure gas pipelines in and around the area here. And this might be something that I always like to say this too, just from the standpoint of, I remember when I first graduated from college, I thought I understood about mechanical engineering, but I found out pretty fast I really did not know anything at all about natural gas pipelines and systems like that. And so when I started work, I was definitely assigned jobs that I was responsible for, but I couldn't do that without a lot of interaction with other people who have more experience, just to help me understand what to do, and or helping helping point me in the right direction for whatever I'm doing. And so that's very similar to what we have here at Southwest Gas, is that engineers, when they come and start with the company, at whatever level they start, they're going to be assigned different tasks and different work that they are responsible for. But at the same point, there's a network of people right there in the office who are going to be there to help support you, give you guidance, point you in the right direction, get you in touch with the right people to find answers to any questions you have. So I like to say you're never really alone when you're an engineer here. Once again, on the operations side, this is, I kind of like to say this from the standpoint of, you guys all are studying engineering at school. Yeah, I mean, you're used to solving problems, maybe pulling out a book to help with equations about how to answer a question, how to go about doing some work. One of the things about Southwest Gas is that engineers are used in a variety of different sources in different areas. So whereas an engineer might start out and they might do some design work, they might spend a couple of years like that. At some point, they might get the opportunity to go out and supervise and oversee some of our field operations. So in this case here, operations could easily be dealing with, down like in the bottom left-hand corner, the people are out there overseeing, doing maintenance on one of our reg stations. The engineer could be the one who gets out there and supervises that, helps them with those technical issues that could arise. We have a very unique situation here in our division, in that if any of you have ever been up to Big Bear Lake, you probably didn't know this, but running right through the center of that lake, we have a high pressure gas pipeline that's laying on the bottom of the lake. And periodically, just because of the rules and regulations that we face, people have to get out there and literally visually inspect that pipeline on the bottom of the lake. So we have our engineers who are out there overseeing the divers who are getting ready to go down and check out the pipeline at the bottom of the lake. I mentioned we're regulated by different entities. And what that also does is created a company that is very procedure oriented. So a lot of the stuff we do is very repetitive, done over and over again. But as rules or regulations change, or if we discover that something isn't working right, those processes and procedures change on a regular basis. And so our engineers are the ones who, in many cases, are the ones out there writing those procedures or trying to figure out what would be the best procedure to make sure that we don't have these problems again in the future. Let me see. Oh, emergency operations. I don't know if any of you, I'll ask this question. I've asked this question other places before. I don't know if any of you are living in homes right now, or, if you think back to maybe when you lived with your parents, if that was the case. But did any of you have a underground irrigation system for your yard or plants around the house? Yeah, the same here. I've had those in my houses. Did you ever know where exactly those pipelines ran from place to place in your backyard? Yeah, I see some heads shaking back and forth. So yeah. Unfortunately, when we're talking about natural gas, we can't do that. We have to know where those pipelines are. And so we maintain, records, maps of all where all of our gas pipelines have been installed. We use, if you've ever heard of it, the Esri application, just to keep track of that. But even though we have those maps, sometimes people damage our pipelines. Anytime anyone has to do some digging in like a street or roadway, they're supposed to call a toll-free number, and then Southwest Gas, as well as any other utilities in the area, will come out and mark where our facilities are. But even though it doesn't cost anybody any penny, anything at all for that, sometimes our pipelines do get dug into. And when they get dug into, we definitely have a emergency operations center that kicks in, so that people show up in this office or this part of our building here just to respond to that emergency, so that we can make sure that we're keeping the public safe, the community safe, as well as our employees safe, while we get that incident or that dig in under control. Because definitely the largest source of problems are when people dig into our pipelines. But I'll toss this out because, we all live in California. We've all had to live through earthquakes. And some of my experience in the back has been that some of the most damage that's been done to our gas pipelines have been as a result of earthquakes. Could be fires that are in the area of all of our facilities. So things like that would generate our emergency operations center to kick in and people to show up for it. I want to share something with you guys though too about just being a good engineer. And after I finish this, I think I'll turn it over if there's any questions along the way here. But typically the way I've always hired people is we're hiring people for your problem solving skills. The school that you're going to is a fantastic school and provides you with all these great problem solving skills. And when you come to work for a company like Southwest Gas, we're going to definitely rely on you to solve problems, because that's what life is all about. One thing I always like to also get into is just communication. Engineers, I have to say it, historically known or thought of as poor communication skills, they can't write, that type of stuff. But I'll be honest with you, if you think you're in that class, please take the steps to kind of work on those items there. Before I went to work in my first job out of college, I went for an in-plant interview at PG&E. And it just so happened, as I was waiting to talk to the one person who I was scheduled to visit with, I ran into another person who I'd never met him before, but he had graduated from UC Davis a couple of years before I did. And so he had had some good experience at the company. And when I started to talk with him about, are there certain classes, things I should do, or whatever, as I get ready to graduate. And he even, this person, that was the one thing he mentioned, is just communication skills, writing, verbalizing. We're all probably get used to text messages and things like that, but being able to actually write a good paragraph, being able to write a report, you're still going to be relied upon and need to do those type of things at Southwest Gas, or really probably any company you work for. I know my son is an intern up at a company in Reno, and he's kind of mentioned a couple of times how surprised he is how much he has to rely upon his writing skills. Teamwork. I think personally, I could probably live just sitting in my cube or my office and doing work every day. But the reality is, my job, as well as probably the majority of every job I've ever been in or around at Southwest Gas or other companies, require me to interact with other people and work with them to solve problems and to find solutions to whatever's going on, coming up with new processes, procedures. And so your ability to work with other people is of paramount, and you really need to be able to do that. As I'm looking for engineers, one of the things I also look at, and this probably applies to any place too, is what type of leadership skills do people have? As I mentioned about Southwest Gas, where we have engineers everywhere from entry level all the way up to executive levels of the company, they got there because of their leadership skills. And some of those things you can develop along the way, but the more you can demonstrate that and talk about it now, is always good. And then I'll always talk out, you're going to be hired for a job. And so you have to kind of be able to show a record that, hey, I can actually do what I'm assigned. I can get it done. And that's why I say managing for results. You're able to actually get things done. And once again, kind of start out with problem solving ability and end on the technical abilities here. A company like Southwest Gas, we do things, the same type of processes over and over again. I've worked in the gas industry for my entire life. We're not the high-tech type of company where you're probably going to be referencing your textbooks to figure out how to do a problem, but still having a good solid foundation of your technical ability is going to help you solve problems and do work here forever. And I think that was all I had to say. Unless there's any questions, I could do my best to try to answer or address or about anything I said or didn't say.
Well, thank you, Davis. If folks want to raise their hands, and we can kind of try to flag down maybe in order, just so we're not all interrupting one another. I'm not seeing any. So if you guys know where to find the raise hand button, it's under participants at the bottom if you have any questions. But I'll take it away. I actually, just on the note of technical skills, Davis, I know a lot of us, myself included, a lot of my peers have spent a good majority of our undergraduate experience online now. So with that said, we haven't had so much of the hands-on experience as previous classes. Is there a way that we can kind of make up for that, learning software or practical skills?
Yeah. And no, that's a good question, Jack. And one of the things that kind of in answering of that question, it's I kind of like to think of it as somebody coming from college or university and joining Southwest Gas.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely going to be a lingo,
Mm-hmm.
learning about how we operate or just how a natural gas system operates in general. And so we're gonna teach you a lot of those technical type things, but at the same time, just having an understanding of how things work, how you might maintain things is something I would look for. And I'll kind of take that the next step, that if you have the opportunity to do things like work on cars, build things, I've seen people who do volunteer work at places like Habitat for Humanity. They're getting out there and they're working around people who deal a lot with construction. Those are the type of experiences that I would say if you could bring those to the table, that's always beneficial. Like I think you mentioned, with the whole living on Zoom nowadays, you don't have that quite as much opportunity for hands-on type work. And there's probably, I think that's, I have to agree. And it is a different world out there right now. I'll kind of toss out on some of the, I believe you guys probably still call it the capstone senior project class that you do.
Yeah.
In that class, if I understand it correct, you're probably doing one quarter is more research, trying to figure out what problem you're trying to solve or working with a company on that. And then the next quarter is probably trying to build something.
Mm-hmm.
And those are great examples of, hands-on type of experience that I would be looking for if I was in the hiring mode for this. I would bring up too, and I bet, I'm still getting used to the Cal Poly curriculum, but I think just about every other university I've talked with has the first year, it's an entry-level introduction to engineering class. I think you guys have that.
Right. Yep.
And,
Yep. True.
And I think there's probably some type of a project that each team puts together in that class. Is there something like that? I know up at UNR, they would do one on it was like a small hovercraft project that they would do. I remember the one at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. It was, I think they had to put it together, some type of a, what's it called? Like a maze type project using all different engineering techniques. Just bringing things like that to the table and being able to talk about them are enough to help me feel comfortable with hands-on experience.
Definitely. So that class kind of being a teamwork opportunity, that's something that you got here at Southwest.
Yeah, it kind of hits, like so many of the things you probably do, they probably hit multiple different categories of things that I was talking about there.
Mm-hmm. So just before I hand it over to the next question we have, it's anticipated that there will be a learning curve, you're saying, but so long as we've got some hands-on application in one area or another, that's the best we can do.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
And one of the things I failed to mention it earlier, but I know this is very specific to Southwest Gas.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a large training program to help get people up to speed about the different tools, different things that we do as a company, from everything from a software program that we might use on the engineering side to this is how we actually build a pipeline out in the field. And so we try to put, our expectation is to put every engineer through this training program just to help to get them up to speed and be able to take what they learned in school and apply it to real life.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's valuable. I think there is one more question from Esau, if you wanted to unmute yourself.
Oh yeah, it was related to those types of opportunities that Jack was saying. Does Southwest offer any type of internships anytime soon? Yeah.
We actually do have internships, and what we try to do here is I try to get people in the springtime at some of the career fairs. I think the next career fair is Alexis is it's like the end of, it's like February, I believe, isn't it, or is it March?
I want to say it's March 4th.
Okay.
Or, yes. Hold on,
Yeah,
Yeah, March the
Yeah.
4th.
March the 4th, yeah. And so I know Southwest Gas will be participating in that. And we'll be gathering up people's resumes, talking with people at that point with intent of finding some people at that point with intent of having them be able to start hiring them and starting them work full-time during the summer months. For the most part, in my time here in Victorville, we've had interns working for us only during the summer months, but if there's a way I can expand that to having students work part-time during the school year, that's definitely a goal of mine that I would like to make happen. But we are going to have some internships, and they are going to be here in Victorville. And one of the things that this past summer we had 2 interns working here, and one of the things that I was really, I can say, proud of is the fact that we offered these job internships to the people in late March, and we stood behind our commitment and brought them on. They actually worked in our office the entire summer month. Only, part of it was the whole fact of they can learn a lot more interacting with people in the office on a day-to-day basis and keeping all the social distance guidelines and requirements out there so that they could be safe and not transmit the COVID disease or catch anything like that. The bad part of it was that because of the whole COVID situation, our interns couldn't spend as much time going out in the field as I would typically want or expect them to do. So that was the downside, but they at least got to be here employed and working with us in the office all summer long.
Well, awesome. It looks like we have just 1 more minute. I know there's probably many folks having a 1 p.m. class. Alexis left a few links for you all if you wanted to learn more about Handshake. You're also saying to learn more about Southwest by favoriting them on Handshake. There's a link there to do that. So you'll basically be getting updates from Handshake from Southwest whenever they put out updates. Beyond that, we have recorded this meeting. We will be sending it to all participants along with an email if you do want to get more involved with either Southwest Gas or ISA. Other than that, I think we're about wrapped up. Thank you, Davis, for coming to speak with us today. Thank you,
so
everyone,
much.
for joining
Yeah,
us
thank
today.
you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to seeing you again sometime soon.
Absolutely. Take care,
All right.
everyone. Have a good
Bye.
Thursday.
Thank you.
Everyone.